Mga boss, meron na ba kayong business idea na hindi natuloy? May products na hindi nabenta? O baka gusto nyo nang mag-scale pero nalulunod na kayo sa logistics, inventory at operations?
Kung oo ang sagot mo dyan, baka hindi negosyo ang problema, baka sistema lang. At ang guest natin ngayon ay ginawa ang kanyang negosyo sa pagtulong ng iba pang negosyo na magsimula, lumago at siguraduhing walang nasasayang na opportunity para sa kanila.
Mula sa fulfillment at technology hanggang sa liquidation, binuo niya ang isang ecosystem para siguraduhing walang produkto, walang negosyo at walang pangarap ang napupunta sa wala.
Let us all welcome the founder on the chair today. Please introduce yourself.
Hey, Benta Bosses, Darwin here, the founder and CEO of Inspire e-commerce solutions. What is Inspire? Well, to peel the curtain back just a tad bit, Inspire is an e-commerce technology and operations business. We work with brands in giving them the technology layer that they need and also the operational infrastructure to help them scale in the Philippines.
Welcome.
Welcome to Benta Bosses.
Thank you for having me.
It's nice having you
It's
here.
a pleasure to be here.
Okay, so before Inspire e-commerce solutions, you had KOMENTO. Can you talk us through that first?
Yeah, so it started off with actually Inspire kind of at the core. So maybe a little bit of context. My background, if you probably can't tell, I am not a Filipino, even though I can camouflage quite well.
Yeah.
Right. I am Latino, and I've been here in the Philippines since 2015. Really, why I came here was to start a call center. So my background is corporate.
Right.
And I'll kind of share this just to kind of give you a bit context of just kind of how I got here and then what got me to launch the business.
We want to hear that story.
Of KOMENTO and Inspire. But essentially, corporate is the reason why I came here. That was in 2015. I progressed a few years. You know, we built the company from ground zero to about 400 and something employees.
Ooh.
Wow.
But the reality is that I've always had the entrepreneurial itch,
Right.
to build something of my own. And in 2019, I actually got into e-commerce where I realized that this was going to be the market that I would operate and play in.
Right.
And really the first iteration of me launching the business wasn't actually KOMENTO. It was Inspire in the first iteration of Inspire.
Right. So the first version.
The first version of Inspire. So again, being the kind of natural, like the person that always wanted to build his own empire, I felt that the e-commerce landscape in the Philippines was an opportunity that was just waiting to be snatched.
Right.
It was a nascent kind of industry very early on. And I felt that was a good area to operate in because it's not a lot of competition.
Right.
And obviously, just coming from the US, knowing just how e-commerce took off, I felt that would be the same in the Philippines. So I actually started Inspire as the first business that I launched when I left corporate.
Right. But what was your corporate background?
So I was the executive director. Just a little bit of context. I actually never went to college.
Oh,
right?
Interesting.
So never went to college, but the person that brought me to the Philippines, which I'll connect some of those pieces later on because there will be some connections that need to be made. But the person that brought me here knew that very well. But he really just believed in my ability to execute because we had worked together for a few years already, and just kind of threw me into the Philippines again, really starting from zero employees, and just said, "Hey, figure it out." And that was me having to learn recruitment, IT, understanding finance, every department. Essentially, I had my hands on it in some capacity. So that was like my MBA.
Real life.
Yeah, real life.
In real life, right?
Yeah.
So, and essentially, it really helped me as I build my businesses just because I've had that experience of understanding hiring process, recruitment, and just every layer of what it takes to build a company.
Right.
So that was the background. Again, pretty much managing every function of the call center. And what we did was cater to U.S. clients in the U.S. So it was, U.S. time zone. So working the graveyard shift for a few years. Pretty brutal, I will tell you, right?
That's for sure.
But I did that for a few years. And then, of course, as I mentioned, I figured that e-commerce was going to be the space that I would operate in. So that was the background. And then, in 2021, because I actually got into e-commerce by actually selling products first.
Right.
So like before I actually went full throttle into building the business, I was doing an e-commerce operations as I was still working in corporate.
Oh, so this was all together.
Yeah, so I was in corporate. I was understanding e-commerce. And before obviously launching a business in the e-commerce space, I actually wanted to experience what it was actually like to sell the products and see that other side of the coin. Right. Because it's hard to build a service and a business on something
if you don't know.
Correct.
Yeah.
So I was actually a seller for a few years.
Okay.
And I did it for about 2 years of me just buying products, importing it from China, outsourcing my operations to an actual fulfillment center. So that gave me kind of the knowledge of seeing the service providing aspect of it, but from a customer standpoint and the client standpoint.
Right, which is a good background.
So I did that for a few years. And, luckily I found a lot of success. Just understanding what works in the Philippines. To be honest, back in 2019, it was relatively easy to import a product, launch a website, launch some ads on Facebook, right now known as Meta. And honestly, the sales just started coming in really quickly and gave me a lot of confidence.
That's
just because I found early success there. Funny story on this, my boss at the time, I was very honest with him because he's actually my co-founder now, but I'll connect those pieces later.
Interesting.
Right?
Okay, interesting.
So when I started off in e-commerce, I was very honest with him and I said, hey, I got this little side hustle. I'm like, want to learn how to sell. And to be honest, he just kind of blew me off and said, whatever, it's okay.
Yeah.
Right? It's not that big of a deal. And it wasn't until a few months later passed by where he came to the Philippines because he would come in almost every quarter. He was
to visit.
To visit. How is the shop? How am I running the shop? And how are things, right? Is it still functioning? And when he came in, he asked me, it's like, hey, so how's the side hustle? And to be honest, I was so excited to tell him because at that point, I was making an absolute killing, and I thought that he was just going to embrace it and be happy for me.
Oh.
But when he realized the amount of money that I was making, he was not okay with it.
For sure. Because you were running the business for him.
Correct.
And then now you're making a lot of money on the side.
And it's exactly what he told me. And he's like, hey, listen, you cannot serve two masters. And I did not bring you into the Philippines.
Because of...
Yeah, because he understood. My attention would go naturally to the place where I was making the most money.
Exactly.
Because it was already paying me more than my corporate job.
Right. For sure.
So he had a little bit of a problem with that and gave me an ultimatum, said, hey, listen, you're going to have to stop this. I did for a while. and then just the itch of just selling. And like, I was just actually fascinated with the whole process of just e-commerce and that. So I was experiencing it firsthand. So the process of importing products, bringing it in, learning marketing, understanding how to run ads and just the customer journey on the e-commerce side, I just became really obsessed.
Yeah.
And I have a tendency about me that when I really enjoy something, I have a very obsessive personality.
Right. And I'm guessing you're a Taurus.
Scorpio.
Oh, okay. Okay, interesting. But wait, what was going on in your mind when your boss started saying, hey, you just have a few months or probably weeks to run your business and then it's all done?
Yeah, I mean, it would have been nice if he gave me a few months and weeks. It was a very much cold turkey. You need to stop immediately.
No?
Immediately.
You need to stop
So
immediately.
what did you do? What was like, do I have to quit now?
Well, it was a thought, but it was still very early on. So I actually ended up just stopping until the itch of just going back and just realizing the amount of money I was kind of losing as well, right?
Yeah.
And I always knew that I wasn't going to stay at the call center forever.
Right.
And he knew that as well. He knows my personality and that, like I wanted to take over the world, in my own way. And he always knew that about me. And eventually I stopped but went back. And funny story here, the way that he caught me was he was actually, because I was under his IT network, because I'm at the call center.
Right.
And he was looking at the IPs of what I was searching, and it was a lot of Shopify. It was a lot of Shopify's URL, which is how he found out that I had went back and I was still operating, right, the e-commerce business and the selling part. So
but wait, how much were you earning for him to really like, hey, you have to stop this? I'm just super curious.
So, I mean, the profit-wise was around $18,000 to $19,000, right? I made the first $1 million very quickly.
Wow.
Right?
That's so great.
Listen, I became really obsessed about learning how to market. And I also luckily had the capital because of the comfy corporate job to actually invest and go all in and actually, buy the products that I needed and spend what I needed to learn. So that's why he had a huge problem with it.
Yeah, I would also do the same thing.
So when he found out that I was doing it again, we had that conversation and, I couldn't lie to him. And I'm like, yeah, I went back. And, it was a late December. This was 2020. I had already done it. So I had secretly kept doing it for a few months until, again, everything surfaced again. And he came into the Philippines and he actually ended up firing me.
Yeah.
He said, hey, listen. Yep. Well, it ended up firing. Like, hey, unfortunately, you can no longer work here.
Wait, so that would mean you have to go back to the U.S.
Well, no. So I was under a worker's permit at the time. And, right. Again, I do have a Filipino wife now and a kid, and I have a family here. So leaving wasn't an option, right? And at the end of the day, I kind of got a taste of just e-commerce and just the early success that I had. So naturally, when I was ultimately let go, I just doubled down. I was already very comfortable, right? I had a nice kind of nest egg of resources to say, you know what? I can bet on myself.
Exactly.
And just, one thing about myself is that I don't lack a lot of confidence, for better or for worse, right?
Yeah.
Confidence is not something that I just said, hey, you know what? I will figure this out. And I always believe, and he, to this day, he denies it, but I always believe that he kind of, he wanted to throw me into the wild so that I can fail and that I would end up going back. I've always felt that was his master plan, to kind of rug pull it under me and said, okay, you know what? Go out there and let's see if this really pans out.
Okay, so what can you tell our aspiring bosses on how important it is for you to bet on yourself? Because after he fired you, you were like, okay, so what's next? So why is it important to choose yourself in that situation?
Listen, if you're going to start a business, and I look directly at all of you future entrepreneurs, like you have to have that inner confidence in yourself. Because at the end of the day, if you don't have that confidence that you can do it, the business world is going to eat you up and spit you back out.
That's
right. And even with the confidence, it's still going to eat you out and spit you back out. But you need to have the confidence to get back up and know that you're going to make it work. Right. It is a thing that if you don't have it, again, people get very, if you're emotionally fragile and have self-doubt, you won't make it very long. Especially in this type of market, right? Most in Southeast Asia and the Philippines as a whole.
Very competitive.
It's very difficult to build a long-lasting business. So many challenges, regulatory, right? Customer behavior. Just there's a lot of layers of complexity. And naturally, you just have to have that self-belief. And if you don't have that, you're going to struggle really, fast and hard. And luckily, I've always had that kind of inner belief. But yeah, you have to have it. If not, it's just not going to work long-term.
That's true.
But kind of maybe going back to it and to summarize it, I ended up leaving, obviously, found success. When he realized that I wasn't coming back, this is where Inspire's kind of iteration comes in.
Okay.
Right. But I wanted to share that backstory because it is important throughout the journey. It's for it to make sense at least. But when he realized that I wasn't coming back, I just remember getting a phone call from him and saying, hey, can I have a word with you? And there's two founders that I work for, right? One of them is named Syed and the other name is Pran. I was having a conversation with Syed at the time. And so Syed calls me and he says, hey, let's just jump on a quick call, right? I want to touch base with you, see how you've been. We jump on a call and he just asks me, hey, what the F do you do?
What? Why are you making so much money? Can you tell me more about it?
And this is where I knew that me selling products, I had it in my mind that me selling products was really like my first step in.
Right.
I wanted to build a service, right, around the space of e-commerce. Like being a brand owner and to be honest, I wouldn't even consider it like a brand owner because I was buying it wasn't branded goods. So it wasn't like I had done my own brand.
It was a general.
It was generic, general products. And just looking at the trajectory of what happened in the US, that phase, it has a high spike, but then it goes back down really quickly because customers want to relate to a brand.
Exactly.
Right? Because they trust the brand versus just generic products. So I always knew that wasn't going to be my long-term play. But it was good enough to make money, get the experience that I need, understand the side of ultimately, the client and the customer's perspective, see how that all works together. And then I would be better positioned to build services around it. Because I understand both sides at that point.
So is that how actually Inspire came about?
Yeah. Well, to kind of, to the point is we have a conversation. And when I said that they became my co-founders/investors, after that conversation, it was about a 3-hour call where I'm trying to explain to him what I do and what the business of Inspire that I wanted to build, like what were the functions around it.
Right.
Which is it was a drop shipping model, right?
Okay.
And after that call, he ended up kind of pitching me that he's like, hey, listen, I have the full belief on what you're doing and what you're gonna do. And I just want to be part of the journey with you.
Whoa.
Right.
Like
what a turnaround.
Exactly. That was a 360 from firing you to, hey, can I join you?
But it's, I think a lot of that is just the importance of just, when you work with people, having that trust, being able to execute, and him seeing what I've done for his company and going from 0 to 400 employees. Like there's proof in the pudding of what my abilities are. And he just said, hey, listen, even though I don't understand what really e-commerce is, and like I can't really help you. So it's not like I'm going to be a co-founder that we're going to be able to have conversations about what we're going to do. It's like I'm not even going to pretend to be that. But what I can offer you are the resources to be able to build out this business, right? And that's not something that you're ever going to lack.
Right.
And be there with you. I just want to be part of the journey with you because we have been working together since 2012. And this was now 2021 at that point. Right. So we had built a long relationship and we just know each other. More like a brotherhood in my eyes. So essentially what happened is there's two founders. He's like, hey, listen, the only way that I can actually come into this though is I would have to speak to the other co-founder. And if he's okay with it, then we're game. And that's where Pran, right, comes in. And then he was also, no questions. Hey, I'm in. Let's make this work, right? Let's do this. And then that's when I actually launched the first real company/service, right, which is Inspire.
O boss, mukhang ready ka na sa unang benta mo. Teka, easy lang.
Simula pa lang yan dito sa Benta Bosses.
Papunta na tayo sa real talk ng business na dapat nyong matutunan. Dito lang yan
sa Benta Bosses by Quotable AI.
And so what was it like? What was Inspire's first version? How did the service function?
So Inspire essentially was an inspiration of a model that I saw in the US that I was very fascinated by, which is drop shipping. And for those that don't know what drop shipping is, essentially is you as a seller have an opportunity to sell products that you don't physically own nor have purchased.
Right.
Nor are you storing, right? And all you have to do is build a website, figure out the marketing, market those products, and those orders get passed on to the drop shipping supplier or the drop shipping service. And they store the product, they hold the inventory. So when an order comes in, they pick it, pack it, and ship it directly to your customer. And you as the seller don't have to worry about buying inventory, renting warehouses, paying for staff, and doing all of the things that are required on an e-commerce operation, right? So for me, it was fascinating because I was just like, this just makes all the sense in the world. Like, who wouldn't? Especially in the Philippines.
Yeah, because a lot of Filipinos don't have capital to really start a business. So drop shipping is a really, really good model for them to sell something without really shelling out.
Yeah. So, and at the beginning, it was, of course, understanding that I needed products to offer the drop shippers, right? Because without the products, nothing makes sense. Now, luckily, I had products that I had purchased and sold that already had phased out, right? Which is the reality of e-commerce. Products are, especially when you're not a brand, it's a lot of hype. Once that hype wears down, people aren't too interested in those products. So I had a good amount of products already that I could use as a starter. But luckily, and I'm a firm believer of God works in mysterious ways. And, again, just told you, come from a church conference. Favor, shout out to Favor. But so I had two friends that were operating the e-commerce space, and they had around 10 million pesos worth of products. That and it was a wide variety of products that they couldn't sell anymore, and they didn't know what to do with them. So I just kind of offered the service. I'm like, hey, listen, I can take those products from you. I'm building a service around drop shipping. We can offer all of these products at a very low price to people. And essentially, the model that I had was I would charge a subscription. So you would have to pay a subscription to access the products.
Okay.
And then we build a platform that allowed you to see the product catalog, import products to your shop, right? And really facilitate that whole aspect of understanding what was within our catalog. And I had a good amount of products, but those 10 million pesos worth of products really help kind of
catapult.
Right? And have a wide range of product options that the drop shippers would be enticed to say, hey, I'm willing to pay the subscription to avail these products. And, we did that. It was about a year and a half. Very early on, though, as a founder, you have to have a radical belief in your ability and the model, but you also have to be a realist and understand the limitations of what this model is. And I learned that very fast, right?
What happened in between?
We did get that model to around a few $100,000 in ARR, right? Dollars.
Right.
So we had a few hundred subscribers. Subscriptions were roughly around 12,000, 10,000 pesos a month to access all of the products. But then I realized that the market that I was serving was a market of customers that the reality is that they weren't really committed
to sell.
Right?
Yeah.
It sounded nice because everyone can say that I am a founder and I'm selling products, right? So it was a good kind of ego boost for a lot of people.
Yeah.
But I saw early on is that, our churn rate, which is essentially a person coming in, subscribing, and then stop after 2-3 months,
right,
would spike. It was like around 40%.
Kasi naman, like what he told us earlier, sa mga bosses natin dyan, dahil nga wala tayong nilabas na pera, the tendency is you're also not too committed or too much committed to that business. Because wala ka nga naman nilabas. And sometimes, Filipinos would need that a little bit of push when they know that they actually invested something in a product, which will make them really push further for the business.
It would be too easy for someone to give up, especially if they don't see traction.
There's not a whole lot of skin in the game.
Yeah. That's true.
And that and also is that a lot of people have this because like they were selling on different channels. They were selling on like Shopify. They were selling on Lazada and Shopee. And there's this misconception that on these marketplaces, all you have to do is list your product and then that it magically starts raining sales. Right?
Yes.
Where that is far from the truth.
That's true.
There's a science and a formula that is required to be able to actually make this work, right? And there's optimizations of your platform and then LoRaKit and your keyword research and the images, and there's work that actually needs to happen. And man, I tried so hard, right? I did webinars and I was just like, how do I teach these people, right? I built a community for Inspired Dropshipping of around 30,000 members.
Whoa.
I was doing a lot of work to like really expedite the learning curve of people. And also via like very realistic to them and said, hey, like, listen, this is not like you just wake up and sales start coming in. You need to work for it. So naturally, just based on the model, I just realized very early on that the type of clients and customers that we were attracting were the ones that weren't too serious about learning the craft and putting in the work. Right. Yes. And as soon as it didn't happen, it's like, oh, this is a scam. I'm not getting any sales. And like, I'm like, well, you haven't done anything. Right? You literally just listed the products on Lazada and nothing else has happened.
Exactly.
Right? So that was one of them. And then the really, I guess, kind of hurdle that I think killed the business. I wouldn't say hurdle. It was kind of like the dagger that put us down, or that version of Inspire, is when the marketplaces started implementing that if you wanted to sell on these channels, you needed to have a DTI. You needed to be registered as a
eventually.
Right? This is when they implemented this. And you just saw 95, 97% of all of our accounts got banned.
Whoa.
Because none of these guys
were serious.
Exactly. They didn't have it, right? Because before you could literally register without having it.
Just an ID.
But then, then the marketplace said, hey, we're going to give you time and you need to make sure that you have this uploaded. If not, your stores will be disabled.
Right.
And we gave people the notice and then no one pursued it because, again, not really committed to going through the process. And then about 95 to 97% of all stores got banned. And then that's kind of was the end of the drop shipping era for Inspire, right?
But wait, what made you feel after seeing 95% of your customers say bye to?
Yeah, I mean the feeling is not great. The feeling is a sense of shock of just what happened. right? Of course, sadness because you've been building this up for a year and a half, maybe almost 2 years, right? Of trying to get it set up, putting so much work in training people and building a community and doing so many other things that I felt were necessary. So of course, when you're invested, right, from like emotionally and you spend time on it, it sucks.
Yeah,
It really sucks.
That's true.
Right? But then again, as an entrepreneur, you then have a decision to make. Are you gonna fold?
Exactly.
Are you going to because no one cares about your sob story.
That's
no
true.
one no one's gonna come to rescue you.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not one that really puts a lot of I don't stick in a negative space, right? Like mentally, of course I'm gonna experience it. But I have a tendency of getting out of it very quickly because I'm like, hey, no one cares. Move on.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Snap out of it.
That's what I was about to ask earlier. Have you considered quitting?
Yeah, I mean, quitting and saying, hey, I'm going to go, going back to corporate and going back to working for someone, never happening again.
Yeah.
Right? So now it was just the point of, okay, well, I have to pivot. The famous words that if you are looking to the camera for this, for all of you guys, remind yourself of this word, pivot, because you will need to pivot. As part of any business journey, whatever your plan is, that dream of what you think is going to happen, it never usually ends up working the way that you think it's going to.
Exactly.
Take note of that, mga boss. Learn how to pivot.
And you have to. If not, then you die.
Yes.
So it's either pivot or die. You make your choice.
So what did you do to pivot Inspire to what it is today?
So the products were already, I still had products, right? And there was a business concept that came to me by a friend, which was, it was a liquidation business. Right?
And can you talk us through that?
And essentially what a liquidation business is that you work with companies, entities, individual sellers, anyone really that has any excess inventory, right? And essentially you take that excess inventory and then you pass it on to different distribution channels. Right? Some of those distribution channels might be resellers that have their own audience. They have their own following and customer base. And all they really need are cheap products that they can take. And obviously they do the distributing for you, right? So for me, I had these products that, the products that I had left, I spoke to the people that had given me the products and I'm like, hey, we can go ahead and be stuck with these products. Or we can just lower the price, right? Liquidate them, call our losses on it, and move on. So I had a good starting point there. And then I got introduced to the concept of actual businesses needing to liquidate assets, right?
Oh, interesting.
So that is when, I started in the liquidation business. We call them lots, right? So there's I have a lot of products, right, that need to be disposed. And that's when my first real break actually came through very early on. And then under no circumstance, to be honest, should I have been conversing with this company, but I ended up speaking to a company by the name of LBC, right? And we do have permission to say their name, so all safe here. But LBC had essentially around 70 to 80 million pesos worth of products.
What?
And they had it in this big facility that they just like, hey, we need someone that can actually liquidate these assets.
Deplete all
exactly because they're just losing money on the warehouse and then having someone oversee those products. So naturally, that was my first entry point in. And what I would tell you is on the liquidation model, you're really paying pennies on the dollars or in the Philippines, centavos on the dollar, right? On the peso. So you're paying a very small fraction, right? And just to give you some estimates, you may be hovering, depending on the product category, you'll maybe pay 1 to 15% of the retail value. So for those guys that are not mathematicians, let me help you out here, right? So if you buy something for 100 pesos, you might end up paying 1 peso for it or 15 pesos for it. Right? So you buy it at a tiny fraction, but naturally you're buying these products in bulk. Right? And you're buying them by lots. And then ultimately, whatever is in those lots, if it could be defective, if there's a term in liquidations that is called as is, where is.
Yes. As is, where is.
As is, where is. So whatever condition you find it, you are taking that risk as the buyer, which is why you're buying it at such a small fraction of the retail price. So that was really one of the big kind of entry points into the model, right? Aside from the goods that we had. Essentially, listen, we got that lot, and KOMENTO really just started to take off. We found different distribution
So
channels.
that's what KOMENTO is now, the liquidation.
The liquidation model.
Right.
Correct.
Okay.
And we found different distribution channels. So I had a warehouse. I literally converted that warehouse into a mall.
Oh.
Right. So you would be able to go into the KOMENTO store and just, and one thing I realized about the Filipino kind of buying behavior is that they love the scavenging kind of aspect of searching for a deal.
It's like ukay.
Ukay, yeah.
But
very true.
A different model.
Very true, right? And
thrift.
we built a warehouse. We had all of these liquidation products, and we said, hey guys, people are allowed to walk in, and we would sell those products at 40 to 50% of the retail price. So then the customers feel like they're getting an amazing deal.
Exactly.
Because they all take a screen. You'll see people walking around, there's like
on TikTok.
On Shopee and Lazada, because TikTok still wasn't around, right?
Okay.
So this is 22, 23.
Okay.
Right? And people would be taking pictures of it and comparing the price on Lazada.
Oh.
And they would be like, on Lazada, it's 100 and something, but in KOMENTO, it's only 40 pesos.
Oh, nice.
Right? But we bought it for 5 pesos. Right? So there was a healthy margin for us to operate. And then I got, again, my obsessive behavior, started to really understand liquidation as a whole.
Right.
I saw that in the Western market, it was at this point, it's about a $500 billion industry.
Whoa,
the liquidation model as a whole. Right. So I'm like, this is perfect because like we are just starting e-commerce. This model will catch on. People, obviously, e-commerce growing when you are operating in the space of e-commerce. Liquidating assets is just par for the course. Like,
will you say that you're the first ones to introduce liquidation?
No. So there was another company that we got some inspiration from. They're called HMR.
HMR, yeah.
Okay,
right?
I know.
They're
auctioning,
but they were more on the auctioning part.
Yeah.
We weren't on the auctioning part. We were operating more as a retail facility on top of building a network of resellers. So essentially, we would be their product source, right? And then we would give it to them at great rates because they're buying in bulk. Yes. They would then take those products to their provinces and then sell it to them. So it was like a chain effect of a win-win because the seller's happy that they're getting rid of these goods.
Yeah.
We're taking it at a fraction of the price, selling it. We're making a healthy margin on it, passing it to the reseller or the end consumer. They're happy because they're getting a good deal. And then they're selling it to their consumers for like 70% of the retail price. So they also get a margin.
Right.
And then the person buying it is still happy because they're like, all right, well, it's still cheaper than Lazada and Shopee, right? And we found a few different distribution models. So one of them was the retail facility. The other was live commerce.
Yeah, okay.
We started doing live commerce, but not on TikTok, on Facebook.
Right, yeah.
Right? And also the reseller market. So we had 3 different ways to ingest products and have those products be moved out.
So with that structure, what were how much were you earning during the first few years?
First few milestones.
The first year that we did roughly around 18 to 19 million pesos in revenue.
Wow.
Right.
Revenue already.
The second year we spoke about 24 to 25 million, right? And then the third year we've spiked to around 60 something million.
So ang laki ng industry na yun.
This episode is supported by Shipley.
For businesses that pack and ship orders every day, having the right supplies matter.
Shipley is a trusted packaging and shipping supplies brand for Philippine businesses, offering quality products, competitive prices, and reliable shipping for teams that need to keep operations moving.
For boxes, mailers, bubble wrap, and shipping supplies, visit shipley.ph.
Right. So we reached $1 million in ARR on the KOMENTO business unit, right? And everything, and this is the beauty of entrepreneurship. When you think you got it all figured out. Like I'm building the tech, which is when I already started to build the tech around the product management and just everything that I needed because I'm a firm believer in automation and how do I systemize what I do. I don't want to be walking around with spreadsheets and a piece of paper. It all has to be driven by a platform. So we started building the platform very early on, which will pay dividends in what we do now with Inspire and a lot of the focus. But when we were building it out and just when everything seemed to like all the stars were aligning, revenues growing, We got 100,000 customers in KOMENTO that have purchased from us, right?
Yeah.
Even, we've appeared in a few Netflix shows, right? So I don't know if how to Buy Me Love. If you see, they filmed in our facilities for a month using KOMENTO. So if you go back into the actual, you see the KOMENTO logo and like the warehouse and all of that.
I have to look at it later.
It's so it opened up a lot of opportunities. And again, just when you think you're kind of at the high, and I'm like, okay, now it's just time to really scale this up.
Yeah.
The product, there was like a drought of products.
Oh, because madaming yung products and then nawala. Like,
Yes.
you weren't able to get anything.
The liquidation product market really dried up and really quickly. And the whole concept and the whole business model is that we have to ingest these low price goods to be able to then pass it over.
Yeah.
So in 24, that's when we did, 24 to 25, that's when we did the 60 plus million.
Right.
The following year, but maybe the second half of 2025, revenue drops 80%.
Ooh, that's a dive.
80%. And again, just when you think you got it all figured out. And again, a reminder, there's I guess, popular term that's been coined in the founder / entrepreneur, like product market fit. And it was like, once you find product market fit, it's just time to scale. But the reality is product market fit, it's so dynamic that you can have it and then you can lose it. Right? Because there's variables around it that control that product market fit. And for us, it was really just the actual process of finding these low price goods.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we really struggled. And it was a time where the company felt like it was a pivotal moment for us to figure out what we're going to do. Again, it's like a life crisis.
I was actually waiting for that word again.
Yes.
Because I know, you know what to do. And that's pivot.
Exactly. So there was a realization that I kind of realized, right? And listen, this is the time that because I've been very fortunate that I've never had to raise funds for the venture because of my co-founders that came in and essentially said, hey, we believe.
Right.
We'll provide the resources, you execute and make it work.
Yeah.
But we just need to see results, of course, right?
Yes.
Of course.
We're not gonna fund this just non-moving business that isn't going anywhere. So the growth was there. They saw it, they believed it. But then of course I came to this realization that, and important note for founders is that no matter how great your idea may be, and I'll look at the camera for all these important points, no matter how great you think your idea is, okay? If the market is not ready for that idea, no matter how great it is, it's just not going to work because it's not the right time.
Yeah.
Right? Timing is so crucial. Yeah. And in this process, I even opened myself up to speak to venture firms, right? And not because I needed the capital. It was because I felt that the right venture firms would have connections to the right companies and businesses and enterprises that would let me tap into the product source, right? And trust me, we went through the process and I spoke to a lot of the VCs. Some really believed it. Others were like, oh, I don't know if this is if it's the right time.
Right.
And I went in there saying, hey guys, I don't even need money. Like I'm willing to give you equity as long as you give me the right connections that I think would be a worth trade-off, right?
Right.
The reality is nothing came from that. And there was a moment of realization, right? And I've met some amazing VCs that connected me to the companies like Robinsons and all of these big retailers, right? The conglomerates. And the realization that I had, which is it forced me to pivot, was that when I had the conversations with these large conglomerates and I was pitching the concept of liquidations, and I know they have the problem because they have all of these retailers and all these products, they just really couldn't wrap their head around the business model and how the pricing mechanism works. They a lot of them wanted to give it to us for 50 to 60% of the retail price, but then our model doesn't work.
Yeah, exactly.
Because we don't have enough margin to be able to pass it over, right, and make it work. And that's when I came to that realization that, hey, listen, the liquidation model will be a massive industry across the Philippines and Southeast Asia, but we're still too early on.
That's true.
It's way too early for this type of business model to work. And I'm so dependent on exterior parties to supply me with the products that I couldn't stomach building a company or continuing to build and put all of my focus into this if I couldn't control the outcome.
That's true.
If I was dependent on a retailer or someone to say, hey, I have products now, it's time for me to liquidate. That's the realization that I said, hey, listen, I need to not kill KOMENTO because I believe it's going to play a part in the ecosystem that we're trying to build, right?
Yeah.
So it's going to have a role, but there's a timing element to this.
Exactly.
And we're not quite there yet.
That's
right.
true.
So I had to then, so I'm operating 2 warehouses at a time. I have this fixed operating cost.
Yeah.
That's just beating my head every month, right?
Yeah.
Because revenue's dropping.
But your
Operational,
is there.
warehouse rent, landlord doesn't care,
Yes.
right? That the business
We all
isn't
know
doing
that.
well.
Yeah.
Employees, they care, but they
Because,
need to be compensated
That's
for the
true.
work. You can't just retrench everyone, right? Or
Exactly.
fire everyone, because that's not the type of business that I want to run, where as soon as times get tough, it's like, all right, guys, figure it out. Thank you, right? Well, so there's all of this is just kind of eating at you every day. And this is, interesting story here. During the pandemic, I kind of gained a few pounds. Right? I was, and I'm still a little chubby now, a little on the chunkier side,
Not
right?
really.
But I was up to like 89 kg at the time. So definitely healthy, right? And during that time, it was a dark period.
Right.
Because revenue's dropping, supplies isn't there, the burn is through the roof, right? Meaning we're losing a lot of money every month. I have to face my investors and co-founders, right? And I have to make a decision. I went through a tough stage in my life where I was working 16, 18-hour days. I went from 89 kg down to 68 kg within a 3 to 4 month period.
Grabe. I can just imagine the stress.
It was intense. It was intense. And I just said, hey, I will figure this out. I'm going to lock myself in this freaking warehouse, right? I isolated myself from everyone. I lost so much weight because I wasn't eating. I wasn't focused. I was just I just grind, hustle and figure out what's next. What is next? What is next? How am I going to get out of this? And it was a tough period. And that is when I said, okay, I can't. And I tried to make KOMENTO work. I tried to do Band-Aid solutions and try to figure out different ways. I was importing products from China, but then we wouldn't have the margin to sell it for. And then we would have to sell it higher than what Lazada and Shopee sell it for. And then KOMENTO was losing the mystique.
Yeah.
Because now customers are comparing and they're saying, hey,
it's almost the same.
Why am I paying more now?
Yeah.
Than what, I can get this cheaper in Lazada. I love KOMENTO, but I'm here because prices are cheaper.
Yes.
And, naturally, customers are not, they have a certain loyalty to a certain point, but at the end of the day, their bank account is going to talk and it's going to have greater influence
That's true.
in their decision making. And then we just saw the numbers just continue to dissipate, right? Yeah. So then, of course, I said, I can't continue to do this because I'm just going to ruin the KOMENTO name and brand that it's taken me so many years to build up, right? Where it's hey, this is the liquidation store. This is where you can get low price goods. So eventually what I did is I realized I have 2 big warehouses. I have a technology that has already been semi-built.
Yeah.
So I'm okay, well, yeah, because I had already been building it to manage our internal operations or fulfillment because we were doing live commerce. So we were picking, packing, shipping to our customers, right? We already had the infrastructure set up and the system that wasn't fully ready, but it was enough for me to say, you know what, I just need to tweak it a bit for what we need right now. Because I had done everything. I was doing live commerce through our platform. I had automated and systemized the entire journey of retail, wholesale, and live commerce through Fusion, which is the name of our platform.
Okay.
So Fusion is the new technology that you're introducing.
It was what I had already been building when I started KOMENTO.
Right. But it was an internal infrastructure at first.
It was, just only for us.
Okay.
Only for our operations or fulfillment or products and everything that we needed. Right.
So this is built in-house?
In-house.
All right.
In-house.
Galing.
And so then I looked around and I said, hey, I have the pieces to the puzzle of what I knew I wanted to make was the ecosystem, right? It's just I was working on on the later stage of the supply chain, which is the liquidation model.
Right.
I'm like, I have the pieces to now just say, hey, I'm going to park the liquidation business for now, or not invest as many resources into it because it's still going, right? To this day, but it's just a very small, compact team versus the 40 plus people that I had on it before, right? So I said, okay, you know what? What can I do? I have the technology that is somewhat ready, just needs a few refinements. I have the space and I have the people.
Yeah.
Right.
So you have everything.
I have the pieces to then pivot. Right.
Again.
and figure it out. And I realized that, hey, the best thing for us to focus on right now is what we focus on and what we've been focusing on since we actually just made a full year of the second iteration of Inspire.
Right. So ito na, papasok na ulit tayo sa exciting part. Let's
This
go.
is essentially what we realized, what we needed to focus on, which is, hey, we have all the pieces to the puzzle. We need to provide our technology as the service to the companies, as the control layer, as the command center, which what we like to call it, for the businesses, right? That are selling on platforms like Lazada, like Shopee, like TikTok, like Zalora, Shopify.
Right.
Give them a centralized platform, but also understanding that in the Philippines and really across Southeast Asia, we're not a SaaS consuming economy.
That's very, very true.
Like businesses are not
Into
forming a line, right? And saying, hey, I'm paying for that tool.
Yeah.
Interestingly here, people would rather go through the manual process.
Yes.
Google Sheets.
I can attest to that.
Yeah.
Versus paying for the tool.
Exactly.
So I understood that the technology was going to be the glue of what allowed us to be able to grow and scale efficiently. But it wasn't going to be what I present to the brands and the clients as the entry point, as like the main course, right?
Yeah.
We're a service-based economy.
Yeah.
People are paying for outcomes and services, right? So I said, I need to be able to merge these two, have the technology be the glue that essentially allows the brand to get a taste of what technology can do for you without you paying for it, and really just offer the services, which is the warehousing and fulfillment.
Okay.
And that's how we really got started. Again, last June, right? So now we're in July now, right?
Yeah.
So we're on our 13th month. And to be frank with you, we came in with fulfillment experience, but for our products.
Right.
Very different.
Exactly.
To doing it with another, for a brand, right? Or providing a service to them. So there was a company which I'll leave out for their own sake. But there was a company that offers fulfillment services, and essentially what they did is that they worked with warehouses in leveraging their warehousing, and they would bring on the brands, and then they would pass the brands over to us, right? And essentially that was the model that they had or have. I'm not sure if they still have it, but it's a very popular fulfillment company in the Philippines. And I remember I went up to them because I said, hey, I can try, and this was January of last year, so before we launched, which was June. I said, I can sit here and try to do this on my own and understand all of the in and outs of what brands actually want, or I can leverage all of the space that I already have, give it to this company. I didn't make any money. Even if I take a loss, right? But at least I can give them the space, and it would allow me to then ingest these brands and really understand all of the angles where they're, right? Because they're the most notorious fulfillment center in the Philippines.
Okay.
And I said, hey, I can literally learn for the next few months, how does the process work end to end?
So
what are the things, because they're the number one company in the Philippines, what are they great at? What can we emulate? What can we replicate? But where are the gaps?
Right.
What are they not strong on? Where can we plug ourselves in, right? And have a differentiating factor, because now we're competing against, we're trying to go for the big players.
Yeah.
And that was always the plan, right? So eventually spoke to their team. I gave them an offer they couldn't resist.
Right. But before we get there, what was the main gap that you saw?
What was the main gap you saw?
Between the big brand and what they're missing out on?
One of them was understanding that in order to have success in this industry, you need to own the tech stack. They didn't own the tech stack.
Right.
It was a white label solution.
Yeah.
Right. So that was the first thing. And I'm like, okay, well, check.
You have the
we
tech.
own that. Number two is just the customer excellence or the experience that these larger companies and the delivering to their customers, it really loses quality as they scale. Right. And I understood my background is BPO. And we have this obsessive behavior of just providing great experience as a whole.
Exactly.
And I understood that those were the gaps that I needed to plug. Aside from looking at their system, using it for a few months, seeing the things that we needed to add, seeing the things like it gave me that understanding of just their business on a greater scale that I wouldn't have had. And I would have just had to do it and learn it myself.
That's true.
Which is what it would have took significantly longer.
That's true.
And more trial and error. So I said, you know what? Give them the space. They couldn't resist the offer that I gave them. We ended up onboarding them. I got to see the full tech stack, the processes, the challenges. And literally just for 6 months, just documenting, speaking to our team, saying this is what we need to work on, iterating our system until we felt that we were ready to be able to take off and launch the service ourselves.
Right.
Which is a conversation that, to be blunt, I did have with that fulfillment company that this was my plan. I think that they were so big and that we were non-existent.
Yeah.
They just didn't take us very serious.
Right.
They were like, okay. All right, whatever. Like, it was, and listen, to an extent, I appreciate it, but it was also a little bit disrespectful to me because I was just like, I don't think you understand
what I have.
Right? Like when I set my mind into something and when I lock in, like, you're like, it's hard to just get me off of that. Like, doesn't mean that I'm going to succeed because obviously on the previous venture, some of them haven't worked out.
Yeah.
But I'm going to put everything I have into this. I am going to work harder than you are ever going to work to make this work.
Right.
And go ahead.
Yeah. Before we talk about more about your success in doing that, right? So we can see your brilliance as a founder and an operator, kind of like a Superman in your business. So what were the personal challenges? Having mentioned all of that. So,
I mean, the challenges in what? Because there's always challenges. Like what personal
in running technically and running the whole business and trying to pivot.
I get what you're saying. So the personal challenges is that, listen, I'm a married person, right? I have a 7-year-old now. And if you are really looking to build something great, right? And for me, one of the things that I fear in life, and my wife can attest to this, and anyone that knows me, is that I am very conscious about the time that I have in this world, right? As a very religious person, right? I understand that obviously, we only have a certain period of time here. Yeah. And for me, one of the biggest fears that I have, right, is to spend my time and not leaving something meaningful behind and not having a legacy that would outlive me, right? Like I refuse to just be another statistic and another number that when he passes away, it's forgotten. Like no one knows what you did. There wasn't an impact. There wasn't something that you did that really had a trickle-down effect or a trickle-down impact on the world that will outlive you, right? And it's just always been at least my personal view on it. But having that level of ambition and having that hunger to leave a legacy comes with a lot of sacrifice of things that you need to put to the side.
That's true.
And the reality is that as much as I love my family, there has been a tremendous level of sacrifice that I needed to make. Number one, from the time that I spend with them, and they will tell you, like, I work a lot.
Yeah.
And the reality is for me, though, is that I don't wake up I wake up every day excited for all of the challenges and issues and everything. I enjoy it. There's a fulfillment element to it.
Yeah.
And a part that I realized that I can't have everything.
Right.
And right now, unfortunately, I have to make some sacrifices. And as selfish as that may sound, and as, I guess, unlogical as how are you going to prioritize over your family or over your friends or over your personal life, right? Well, guess what? If you want great outcomes, you're going to have to make great sacrifices.
That's very true.
And this is why I tell people, like, this is not for everyone, right? If you're not okay with making those sacrifices, well, don't make them, right? And for me, I understood that. So a lot of it is just, I have a very small circle of people that I call friends. A lot of, because I don't socialize much.
Yeah.
I, always kind of lock myself in the lab working, right? Like that's just kind of been my life. So I don't have this large network of people because I just don't have time, number one. And obviously, from a family standpoint, from a health standpoint, I mean, I've gone through all the challenges and just understanding that, listen, whatever it takes.
Yeah.
Like for me, it's whatever it takes, I will do it to make this work. And that has always been my philosophy. So a lot of different areas of life that have been impacted to your question.
This episode is supported by Shoppable Business.
When your company needs to buy for the office, operations, IT, facilities, or daily business needs, Shoppable Business helps make procurement easier.
With access to over 100 million products, competitive business pricing and payment terms, teams can source what they need without chasing suppliers one by one.
For the best prices and service on business supplies, visit shoppable.ph. Would you consider yourself an operator first type of boss?
Absolutely.
Really?
Absolutely.
Why do you think so?
So my background in the BPO was literally managing every function of the company. Right. And I'll tell you this, when I knew I was always going to leave, right? And I remember Syed, my co-founder, he always had this saying where he would tell me, it's like, man, he's like, I don't know if you can curse here, but he's like, man, you're going to F me one day. Right. And I'm like, what do you mean? Like, it's like, you're going to leave. It's like, you're going to leave. Like, it's just, I know you're going to leave and because you're going to want to do your own thing. You're going to leave. And I always knew that, right? Very early on, that I knew that BPO was really, hey, thanks for the opportunity. Let me build this company for you and then figure out how do I build my empire, right? And I always thought that it was going to be real estate for a while, to be honest with you. And I ended up buying a few condominiums, a few properties. One of them that I told you earlier that I moved into. Right? But then I realized that it's just not for me. I need that mental exercise, that mental stimulation of building something that, number one, challenges me every day.
Right.
To be honest with you, like we all wish that we didn't have the challenges, but if the challenges weren't there, like I would get bored.
Exactly. It's going to be all the same every day.
It wouldn't give me that drive and that satisfaction.
That fire.
Like that fire, right?
Yeah.
Like I like doing hard things that no one else wants to do and just have the satisfaction of knowing that I can do it.
That's very true.
And for me, when I realized the real estate, I'm like, all right, the funnest part of this is finding the place.
And then,
once you find the place, a property manager handles it. And they're like, I can't. So like immediately, that's why actually e-commerce was like the perfect thing for me. So I don't know if you've noticed this. I have ADHD. Like my brain and my head is in a lot of places at the same time, right? And I thought that e-commerce would give me that mental stimulation.
Exactly, because e-commerce has a lot of parts moving, and that I think drives him to do a lot of things all at the same time.
Yeah.
Pero what would you say to our future bosses there, or our aspiring bosses? Would you say that they should have an operator first mindset as a boss?
You have to, right? One of the biggest mistakes that, or one of the worst, actually, I made a LinkedIn post about this not a few days back, where one of the worst kind of startup advice that I hear all the time, and it gets regurgitated and it just drives me crazy. I cringe when I hear it, is that, you know what you need to do? If you want to build a great business, you need to hire smart people, get out of the way and let them work. Like,
it's true.
I
believe in that.
I actually wholeheartedly don't believe in that. I don't believe that you can outsource your judgment. I don't believe that because the problem is, and that I see, at least in the Philippines and across Southeast Asia, is that a company starts, right? They get some funding, they get some cash in, they start hiring people, and then they start removing themselves from the business because it's like, well, you're really smart, and this is what I hired you for, so you should be able to do this.
Yeah.
For me, I think to be able to find success in this market, in this landscape, the founder needs to be in the weeds.
I would say yes. Kasi marami sa atin sa business owners, yun nga, nakikita ko rin like sa mga TikTok, ganyan na, you have to delegate everything else to everyone. But naniniwala ko na kailangan nandun ka. You have to be present and you have to know every single curve or every single decision that the business is making. Because if not, mabibigay mo sa kanila lahat and you wouldn't have that big picture of what the business does.
And the reality is that no matter how great that hire is, no matter their academia background and no one has the business context of the business like the founder.
Exactly.
No one has it, right? Now, it doesn't mean that you are micromanaging people. It doesn't mean that you're not allowing people to be able to grow and own the role, right?
Yeah.
You want to empower them to do so because that's the only scalable way to do so. If not, you don't want to be,
you're
not going to be you don't want to make every decision of the business, right?
Exactly.
But what you want to know is you want to understand every aspect of your business, right? So when decisions get made, you are at that round table that you can actually contribute. You'd be surprised how many founders, and I've seen them talk to their customer management, like they have no idea what's happening. They have no idea. Like you as the founder should be ideally giving them different ways to look at things, right? And I would hope that I hire someone, and when they present to me a plan, that I don't have to overrule you, or that that's the ideal dream. But I still need to understand, what is your logic behind this? Why are we doing this, right?
Exactly.
What are we trying to accomplish? What lever does this move? How does this impact this other side of the business that you may not be thinking about because you don't have that exposure to it, right? So for me, naturally, as someone that literally loves the whole aspect of operations in every layer, I currently, and my staff will tell you, I am involved in every aspect of what happens. And it's not to be on a controller side. It's to say, hey, I need to know what's happening so I can guide us if we need to. If we need to make adjustments or give you another lens of how to look at things, that I can give you that knowledge, right? And allow you to be your own thinker, but understand where I'm coming from and why we should look at it from this way. So yes, for me, an operator founder it's I think it's essential in this part of the world, more especially, that things are moving so quickly, right? You need to have that. And most founders, though, they want to outsource that and hire people, and it's like, oh, I'm working on big ticket things, and I need to focus on ways to grow the business. When we're not. You got to build the foundation first.
Right.
I think that's
very,
important.
very true.
Yes. So we are already learning so much, Darwin. So, mga boss, do you feel the skills and the energy? For sure. So we can really see your drive, and it's very much inspiring. So let's get to the exciting part, hearing all of your struggles early on the start of the business. So I just wanted to ask, what are the milestones that equate to your success, and what are you most proud of with your businesses?
Well, now this version of Inspire, right? And I can tell you some of the KOMENTO things for sure, but at least for Inspire, since we launched, we're 13 months in, we started with absolutely zero client, zero recognition of us being able to do what we're telling clients we could do for them. Right. And since we've started, we are nearly about 20 brands. At the beginning, honestly, we started taking a lot of small brands, like anyone that needed our service, right? Things have really moved up, and we're kind of going up market now. So now we work with companies like, for example, like Havaianas. We work with companies like DMD Skin Essentials, and really a lot of established brands, right? A lot of regional brands, and even international brands. Right.
What are the samples of the international brands?
So we work directly, for example, with a company like Italy, and we are like the fulfillment arm for the brand that they handle, that we handle the fulfillment and the technology side. For Coca-Cola. We're onboarding Lego into the equation over the course of the next few weeks, right? So why Purist, which is a regional brand in Singapore.
Right.
We have a brand named Kukuyo, which has been around in Japan for 109 years.
Whoa.
That we do their so things have moved very, very quickly since we've started, right? And a lot of it, to be honest with you, is because I'm involved in the sales process, right? Yeah. If a demo comes in, especially early on, I would be on every demo, right? And I would be pitching that brand. And I think the brands realized very early on, because I was very transparent, and I said, hey, we're just starting.
Yeah.
Like we are the new player in the space. But I think they kind of saw like that fire that I have. And they, a lot of those brands said, hey, listen, we usually don't take a chance. Right, because most brands, they don't take a chance on a brand new 3PL and technology player, because at the end of the day, it's their brand that's at stake.
Yeah.
Like if you don't have the proven track record that you can do what you're saying, right?
Never dead.
They don't want to take a chance.
Exactly.
And like, all right, let me be the guinea pig. And like, hopefully you can figure it out, right? It's not something brands are willing to do. But very early on, right, it was something that the brands, when they talk to us, and not just me, they spoke to this. So it's a collective effort, right? I'm obviously kind of driving the boat and driving the car, but there's a team behind me that they get to speak, and we all are very similar in many ways. And they just see like, hey, you have a team.
Yeah.
You have the mindset. We know you're going to figure this out.
Right.
And they just gave us that trust. And since then, it's honestly just compounded to the place that we are now. So going from no brands and no name to now being recognized as one of the leading players in such a short time frame, I think is very satisfying and fulfilling, and honestly a testament to the brands and also the people that are working every day to make it happen, from the technology team to the operations team to the key account managers, right? We all live and breathe the same kind of ideology of the type of service that we want to deliver to these brands. And that's the only way that it's going to be possible. So everyone has chipped in significantly to get us to the point, that we are now. And the reality is that we're just scratching the surface.
Oh, wow. But how about Komento's success? How is Komento doing it? Doing now?
Komento's still active, right?
Oh, okay.
It's still active. We have a very small business unit. So just kind of the long term of what we really want to build with both Inspire and Komento is essentially Inspire focuses at the first stage of the supply chain, which is providing the technology, giving the services like warehousing and fulfillment, and then Komento to come on the back end and assist these businesses that may have excess inventory in allowing them to liquidate efficiently and really bridging these two companies into one ecosystem that really makes it, all in one for a lot of the brands.
Kind of end-to-end also.
Very end-to-end, right? From start to finish, we can pretty much service what you need across the supply chain. But the success of Komento, honestly, is just, getting it from an idea to crossing $1 million in ARR, which Inspire is very close to also reaching.
Oh, wow.
Right? Which is another, for us, and I tell the team all the time, and this is an interesting fact, where only about 3 to 4% of all founders reach $1 million in ARR. Right?
Grabe,
we are
sobrang galing.
very fortunate to about to do it with 2 different businesses, right? So that for us is very satisfying, knowing that we are doing things that aren't normal. Do make you feel good, right? And then of course, having 100,000 customers in Komento, building out the name, the brand of what Komento is very satisfying and gratifying all at the same time.
Right.
All right. So where do you see Inspire and Komento in the future? Like, what's ahead?
I mean, for us right now, it's really dominating the landscape that we're operating in now, right? It's before we really think about expansion, I think you really have to have a full grasp of this market, right? And the Philippines. So for the next year or so, it's definitely just continuously growing out our presence, expanding. Currently, we have 3 warehouses that are operating for these brands. Continuously building out the technology, establishing ourselves as the go-to player for brands that need technology and services for their brand. And then for us, ultimately, the long-term plan is to really take this and expand it across Southeast Asia. The technology, of course, is going to be at the heart of it and what leads that expansion. But of course, we have our hands full for the next year or so in really, taking market share from a lot of the incumbents and doing what we do best is just, provide the best service we can and, obviously build a long-lasting company that, again, kind of leaves to that legacy that myself and the rest of the team is working on. It's what's ahead for sure.
Grabe. What a journey.
Yeah, sobra.
Palakpakan naman dyan, mga boss.
Sobra talaga.
Congratulations on your success, Darwin. So imagine, from helping build someone else's company to building your own ecosystem, it has really been, a tough journey and a successful, rewarding journey in the end. So right now, we'll be giving you the chance to reintroduce yourself to all our bosses. Invite them to get to know more about Inspire and Komento and how they will find you.
Fantastic. Again, guys, hopefully you've been able to take a few things from my journey and my experience as a founder. Hopefully that motivated you just a little bit to be able to pull the trigger and take an action in launching your business. But if you are an active brand and you need a partner, right? Not just a service provider, but a partner that's going to navigate this journey with you and provide you with the technology that you need and the services to be able to scale your brand and your operations, you can definitely reach out to us at inspireecommercesolutions.asia. Again, inspireecommercesolutions.asia. One of our teams will be happy to assist you. I'll probably be joining the call. As you probably heard, I'm very much active on the sales process as well. So happy to be able to see how we can help your brand scale. And if you are a business that needs to liquidate some assets, then KOMENTO is also there to be able to provide that service, which is komento.asia. So thanks for the time, everyone. It's been nice talking to you both.
Yes, thank you so much. But wait, we have one last question before we end this episode. What is one last actionable advice that you can give our bosses on how they can grow, they can pivot, and they can just push through doing their business?
I guess what I would tell people is to it's a trait that is very overlooked, but I think so important is to remain curious, right? If you can take anything away from my experience, honestly, a lot of it has come from being curious, being willing to learn, understanding, what I don't know, knowing what I don't know, and just expanding upon that and just be willing to learn and staying curious, because a lot of what I've done has honestly just been my curiosity, me wondering, me seeing what's possible, being open to that. And it's just the one thing that I believe all founders need to have. Yes. You need to have that curiosity, but also the obsession in whatever it is that you're going to do. You have to be obsessed with it. If not, it's just not going to be a journey that you're going to be happy taking and waking up every single day to trying to accomplish it and do. So be curious and be obsessed with your journey, and I promise you the results will come.
Yeah, yes, well thank you so much. Yeah. That's so good. Yeah. Grabe, no? Sometimes failure isn't really the end of a business. It becomes the beginning of a better one. And Darwin's journey reminds us that no experience, no setback, and no opportunity ever goes to waste when you're willing to adapt and to keep on building.
Yes, totally agree with that, Vanya. So thank you once again, Darwin, for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, mga boss, whether you're just starting or rebuilding after a setback, remember that great businesses aren't just built on great ideas. They're built on great systems.
Kaya naman, if you have a business and you want to continue, scale, or restart, look to Darwin's story and be inspired.
And always remember, every boss
starts with a Benta.
This is Benta Bosses.
I started
the
using
first thing I
Coca-Cola
ever
6.
sold was
But that industry's tough.
From unang benta to boss.
So, ready ka na ba? Visit Codeable AI.
From code to payment, they've got the systems to turn your hustle into a milestone.
Follow us on our socials to stay updated on the next boss we're bringing to the table.
Subscribe to Benta Bosses on your favorite podcast platform and share this with another aspiring entrepreneur.
This has been Benta Bosses.